Hey everybody, Scott Little here with some tips and strategies for improving your own health and quality of life. In my chiropractic practice, I believe that the best way of using chiropractic is to come in and get checked and adjusted on a weekly basis to undo the effects of a lifetime of stress preceding and to make your body more resistant and resilient to the stress that's going to be a part of your life for here on out. In my practice, all we do is chiropractic, but I have a strong passion also for nutrition because I think that very few things can affect your overall quality of life and health than the foods that you put into your body. And I'm a student of adopting a low carbohydrate, high healthy fat diet. I'm a student of intermittent fasting, and I believe that for most people, their quality of life and health would improve if they would adopt a low carbohydrate, high healthy fat. Maybe that's a ketogenic diet. And there are certain people on YouTube whose opinions I value dramatically. One of them is a nephrologist, a kidney doctor from Toronto, Dr. Jason Fung, F-U-N-G. I think you can trust this guy with anything that he says, and I strongly suggest you watch his videos. Another one is a gentleman by the name of Thomas DeLauer. I believe that's D-E-L-A-U-E-R. And these are two people who have a significant number of videos on YouTube talking about ketogenic diets, intermittent fasting, low carb, high fat, and I believe that you can trust their opinions. And recently, I was watching a video of Thomas's entitled 5 Foods That Are Better Than Bananas for Getting Your Potassium. Potassium is a mineral, it's an electrolyte, it's very important for regulating your blood pressure, your water retention. We know that potassium deficiency will lead to muscle cramps, and a lot of times people will eat a banana in an effort to eliminate their muscle cramps. The problem is when you live in a society whereby 70% of the population is either overweight or obese, if you live in a society where in the next several decades people have a 1 in 2 chance of getting diabetes, the reality is that we're consuming too much sugar and fructose, and the reality is that bananas, while they are a good fruit, are loaded with sugar and have a minimal amount of fiber to offset that sugar. So the average banana has about 27 grams of carbohydrate in it, and that's just way too much for a day. You say, well, don't you get to subtract out the fiber? Yep, you do in some cases, but a banana only has about 3 grams of fiber to offset the 27 grams of carbohydrate or sugar. So the reality is that eat a banana, you're still getting 24, 25, 26 grams of carbohydrate, and that's just way too much. I would argue that the average person need not consume more than 20, 30, 40 grams of carbohydrate in a day, and 27 or 25 if you subtract out 24, if you subtract out the maximum amount of fiber, is just way too much for one food. So what are some foods that are high in potassium that are not bananas? Well, number one, and these are, again, coming from Thomas DeLauer's video, and I would recommend you go to his YouTube channel, subscribe, and explore everything that he has to offer on a ketogenic diet, on intermittent fasting, on restoration of normal blood sugar, etc. So he lists 5 foods in this video that are better sources of potassium than bananas. And number 1 is beans, specifically white beans, pinto beans, maybe navy beans. Beans have a very low glycemic index. So you can eat beans and they will have a very low blood sugar raising effect. Half a cup of beans would be a great source of potassium, better than a banana. Number 2, spinach and chard that's sautéed perhaps in coconut oil or butter or maybe even bacon grease, but especially coconut oil to get those medium chain triglycerides. The spinach will wilt right up. You can eat a ton of it in just a few forkfuls. I would probably also add kale in there as a good additional source of nutrients. I don't know the potassium content. I didn't prepare that for this video, but specifically spinach and chard sauteed in some coconut oil or butter, maybe even bacon grease. Another thing you could add to that spinach would be a handful of mushrooms. Mushrooms are loaded with potassium and other nutrients. Other foods high in potassium would be squash, maybe butternut squash or spaghetti squash. Squash is loaded with potassium. You can eat spaghetti squash as if you were eating spaghetti with some spaghetti sauce or meat sauce. Butternut squash is great roasted. It's great to make butternut squash soup this time of year. Go to Pinterest and figure out how to eat different squashes. The last thing I want to talk about, my favorite source of potassium and healthy fats and fiber is a half of an avocado. I think you could eat a half of an avocado every day just raw or in the form of guacamole, but you can't do the corn chips with guacamole. Put it on your other foods, but a half of an avocado every day would be a great source of potassium and fiber and other healthy fats and nutrients that would benefit your hormone system without being high in sugar. So again, these are some foods that could support you on a low carbohydrate. Got to watch your carb intake and your net carb intake. Low carb, high healthy fat diet, perhaps a ketogenic diet that in my opinion would be the best diet that you could be on to improve your health, your quality of life, to decrease your chances of type 2 diabetes or to even reverse your type 2 diabetes, to be on a low an anti-inflammatory diet, and again just restore optimal health and wellness. Here's 5 foods that would be better than a banana for you to eat on a regular basis. Again, I'm Scott Little. I'd love to be your chiropractor, your family's chiropractor. Just reach out to me on Facebook. Give me a call. My phone number is right there on my Facebook page or my website, drscottlittle.com. Just let me know how I can help.